Welcome to Alchemy Avenue, where we transform in real time, trust the vibe, and grow on purpose. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement, a reminder that you don't need fixing, just unlocking. Around here, we laugh, we build, we heal, and we elevate, all powered by that deep inner knowing that says, this is exactly where I'm meant to be. You were made for this version of you, so let's expand, let's enjoy it, and let's keep becoming who we already are. Tap in. This is Alchemy Avenue. Welcome back to another powerful episode of Alchemy Avenue. Let's get into it today. What we're going to dive into is leading without carrying everyone with you. Now, this topic may seem a little, may push you back a little bit just because we're going to talk about, not allowing ourselves to want to bring every single person that just not ready to come in the direction we're going. So we're going to unpack that in some different ways that I haven't really heard talk about by a lot of people, and just my perspective on it, because we're very loving, we're very caring, we are very supporting kind of people. So of course you will want to, bring everybody and allow people to, or create space for people to be able to, do the things that they want to do. Sometimes it does not happen that way. Doesn't happen that way. So let's get into it. So the weight you were never meant to hold. A lot of us were handed something early on. If you rise, you better bring everybody with you. And on the surface, that sounds loving. It sounds loyal. It sounds righteous. But nobody really tells us and nobody really unpacks for us is what happens when you try to drag people who aren't ready to walk. You start moving slower. You start shrinking your vision. You start negotiating your growth, not because you don't love them, but it's because you don't want to feel like you're having to leave people behind. So today, what we're going to dive into is we're talking about the hard, but it's really the truth, especially when you get into a space where you being more of yourself and you start to move and everything we've been talking about the last few episodes about things opening up for you. You weren't meant to carry people becoming. That's just not your responsibility. You are not meant to carry people into their becoming. You were meant to embody yours. So let's get moving. All right. So love versus responsibility. There's a difference between love and responsibility. Love says, I care about you. Responsibility says, I must manage your life. Those are not the same thing. Some of us were conditioned to confuse the two, especially those who grew up being the strong one, being the fixer, being the emotional stabilizer, being the one who made it through. That's the person a lot of us have been. And the reason why we're actually so not necessarily good, I don't want to use like good at what we're doing and how we're taking steps forward now is because we've already tried a lot of different things and we see and we didn't understand it at first, like why this and why that, like why people take advantage of me sometimes, why people don't treat me the way that I treat them. That's a big one. Why don't people think, about me whenever they do certain things? Because I think about them. We've been through that cycle of just thought pattern. So now you're in this space where, you're taking care of yourself. You're becoming more embodied at how you move and how you operate. So being that type of person and having that kind of history, and of course it varies, it definitely varies. I'm not trying to, cookie cut everybody's experience, but just a lot of us in this space just now have been through something to that degree. I feel very confident with that just because of people I talk to and just people that say different things about, the podcast and just the information they, we kind of build on. A lot of us have been through a lot of those situations. And so once you've done that, you can reflect and you really think and like, wow, okay, I really was doing this. I really was doing that. I was in this space. So you get to reflect and unpack a lot of different things if you're willing to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work, then you won't understand nothing that I'm really talking about. So whenever you've been all of those things, a strong one, a fixer, emotional stabilizer, and again, we're still here. We're still doing phenomenal. You are the one that keeps making it through, but you keep. So now you were just, fighting for your life and making it through. Now you're in a space of making it through, smiling, head up, really balancing, as balanced as you can be. But the biggest part to me is your vibration, the harmony that you come with. That's one of the biggest things for me. Not everything is perfect per se, whatever that is, but you're still in a space of like growth and expansion, and you're really holding it well. You're really holding it well. So understand how great and powerful that you are. But being that, you have you've done that work, and you keep, of course the work is ongoing. You keep doing the work. So you're in a space where you can reflect. You can reflect now, and you can reflect and it not hurt. Not saying you're dismissing anything that anybody's done to you, but you're just not in a space where you need an apology, or you need whatever it is from whoever done, whatever thing. You're just in a space where you can see it all, and you're like, okay, wow, that happened. That was crazy. Okay, I got that lesson. I understand that. Okay, now you can never better. So now you can move a lot better. So when growth comes, guilt follows. Times you feel guilty for growing. You feel guilty. But here's the truth, though. When you can love somebody deeply and still not be assigned to carry their healing. Let's say it again. You can love somebody deeply, or love a group of people deeply, but you are not assigned to carry their healing. That's not selfish. It's just accurate. When carrying others slows your expansion, here's something most people don't want to admit. Trying to save people keeps you entangled with the frequency they're choosing. That's their choice. That is their choice. And it's hard to see, and it's hard to really let that like pull back and kind of divorce yourself from, okay, I did my part, or I am going to do my part of whatever this situation is. However they respond, I'm going to give the advice. I'm going to do this up into my boundaries, and that's all I can do. So you're not a bad person. You're not wrong. But because you can't pull someone up while they're gripping the ground, you can feel exhausted. You can be resentful. You can have spiritual fatigue and emotional heaviness. That's not because you've outgrown compassion. It's because your soul is asking you to lead differently now. And that sometimes you may think that you are getting cold, or you're getting less sympathetic to people's situations, and it's kind of like a thin line, because at times I can be like, man, they just don't get it. And I'm not saying it from a space of being condescending, or or trying to be a jerk about it, but I look and just say, they just really don't get it. And that's all I can offer. That's all I can offer, because, like, for instance, I was at work yesterday, and we had a situation, because I work at a dealership, and had a situation with a car. So a salesperson he sold a car. It's an electric car, and the electric car needs to be charged. It hasn't been charged in like several months. So they found the key, and trying to unlock it, wouldn't unlock. Talked to my service manager, was asking him about it. He said someone needs to, take an extension cord and try to charge the car. And the salesperson was like, wow, I wonder who's going to do that. And I'm thinking to myself, and I was going to say it out loud, but no, I did say, well, you should do it. Well, you should have done it. But then I was gonna be like, yeah, because why you're selling the car? Why wouldn't that? To me, that's the next thing that you should do. But in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. So I had to pull back. I just said that, like, you should do it, and that's it. Because I'm thinking the way that my mind's thinking. But again, that's just an example of you got to let people, once you see that they are strong, heavy in what they believe and what they think, and there's no point for you to argue that, let it just, okay. To me, my favorite word whenever I got more to say, but it's just not really a great space for me to say more, I just say okay. Because anything I say anyway is just going to get misconstrued, or again, and I'm not arguing about what, again, but it is my opinion. So again, people think different. So, but my favorite word, whenever I can feel that things are about to be chaotic, more chaotic, and I don't want to add to it because I could, I just say, oh, okay, okay, wow, okay, yeah, dang, okay, dang, or something like that, because I'm good. I'm super good. I'm super good. So at times you can feel like you're disconnected, and to me, I guess it is a fine line, because you don't want to seem like you're just flying so high that nothing can touch you. You don't want to seem like that. But I mean, some of the stuff you're looking at it like, okay, all right, that's what you want to do. Okay, okay. That's what you want to do. Go ahead. Because what I don't want, again, one of my favorite phrases that I live by, I much rather disappoint you before I disappoint myself. Because I don't want to be in a space where my vibration is affected in a way that the way I feel is important. And I honor that. I cherish that. So, but yeah, that's you can get to that space where you just feel like, and you just got to process it. You really got to process it and what that really means for you. Are you really being cold? Or because we can be, because we see things from different angles and different perspectives. So we can find ourselves in a space where we're like, what? That don't even make sense. But, and then with the way we say it or the way we are moving, that it could seem arrogant. It could seem, judgmental. So again, we just got to unpack what that really means for us. So, because, again, I know being a good person in character and continue just to be a great person, not a perfect person, is important to us. I know that. I absolutely know that. However, too, again, we don't want nobody to mess up, our vibration. So I've been saying that it can get very interesting when, like I mentioned, you can't pull someone upward while they're gripping the ground. You just can't at all. So it's not because that you've outgrown compassion. Let's go back through that. It's not because you've outgrown compassion. It's because your soul is asking you to lead differently now. Leading. So you got to lead. Sometimes your leading by example is one of the best things that you can do. That's it. So the hard truth, but the honest one. Hurt people cannot lead hurt people out of pain. Poor people cannot lead poor people into abundance, not because they don't care, but because you can't guide someone beyond where you embodied. You just can't. You can't. You can talk about healing. You can talk about peace. You can talk about abundance, but embodiment is what transmits. And this is where the shift happens. Your elevation isn't betrayal. It's truly, like I said, it's a pathway. It's instructions. And not saying, of course, you got people on, whatever level you on, y'all can't build. But again, bringing yourself down, hurting yourself, draining yourself to try to feed, and continue to feed other people. I'm telling you, that's what I mean by that. Not saying you can't give people advice, not saying you can't be there for people, not saying that you shouldn't do any of those things, but constantly draining yourself taking from yourself without one, replenishing yourself, having boundaries, and understanding everybody just cannot and will not go. It won't. So being the example is a real service. The greatest service you can offer is not explanation, it's demonstration. When people see how you respond instead of react, how you stay grounded under pressure, how you don't chase chaos anymore, how you choose peace without apology, sometimes something activates in them because they get a new perspective on how you're moving. And again, you may be around people that are so familiar with how you were that they may say things that try to trigger you. Oh, you ain't stressing about. Oh, I know you're stressing out about. I know you're stressing out about that. Or they may say any small little thing that may try to trigger you. Again, find a way. Find a way to understand it's okay for you to grow. It's okay for you to evolve. It is okay. And everybody is not going to see it as that. They are not. So again, that's one thing you cannot care about. You cannot care about other people's way they see you when you start to grow, when you start to expand, and when you just change. If you're not around people that can give you room or latitude to evolve, then okay, all right. I don't need to interact with you a lot because this is where I'm at. This is how I'm moving. And I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just in a different space. So that's what this is. So you need to be able to move. And sometimes, these things, when they see how you moving and when they see you moving consistently, it activates, not because you told them what you did and how you did it, but because your nervous system gives their nervous system permission. And that's what people don't understand sometimes. Sometimes people are just a reflection of the worry, stress that you have, always had, or in your mind you starting to create. Because we talked about this before, but in your mind you can create situations out of nothing. And then that is the reflection that people give back to you, though. So not because because your nervous system gives them permission. We got to understand that every time we are in spaces and places with people, our energies is vibrating together. They're intertwining. That's just real. That is just real. So you got to understand that. So that's real leadership, silent, clean, unforced. And when you live this way, something else happens. You stop shrinking, you stop dimming, you stop negotiating your worth to make others comfortable. I'm telling you, you get to walk, more cleaner. You get to walk and be your full authentic self. And it's just a wonderful feeling. So doors open, situations resolve themselves, opportunities find you without force. And that's good. That's allowed. That's what alignment really does. But here's the deeper truth. The real work isn't when things happen that you hope for. That's not, to me, that's part of it. That's just a part of when you start moving as your full authentic self. And then you stop attaching yourself to how others think and try to pull everybody up. So all these things start to fall in place for you. But to me, there's another level of, so these things can happen that you hope for, you pray, you meditate for. To me, the bigger thing is how you're, harmonious, and how you move is when things happen that you couldn't even imagine. You get into a space, you get an opportunity, or something comes that you didn't even have on your radar, that you were like, wow. So when life delivers beyond your expectations, beyond your vision, beyond what you thought was possible, that's when self-love becomes essential. And why this matters about what we're talking about with other people, because loving yourself and being able to understand who you are is the true mastery of how we walk. And that's the main thing I like to kind of I like to really talk about is how to master being the best you, because you're the only you here. You're the only you. And mastering that aspect and moving, and I'm telling you that gets you ready for so many different things that you couldn't even, again, things happen for you that you did not even imagine, but they're so big. And why I wanted to put this part in there is because when those big things happen for you, and not saying you searching for them, not saying you just doing all this for big opportunities, but when those things do happen, you're going to have those very same people that you were trying to help, that are still, within, your circle, whatever is your outer circle, whatever they are, family, whoever they could be, but they are going to have things to say about whatever it is that you're doing. And you're going to be in a good enough space, not a perfect place, a good enough space to better handle whatever could be said or whatever could be, articulated about you and how you moving. So again, beyond what you thought was possible, self-love is the essential key in all of this. So that's when the boundaries matter the most. That's when grounding and care aren't optional. They're necessary, because unexpected abundance, and when I say abundance, I mean in every aspect. So in unexpected, abundance as far as money, opportunity, situation, love, whatever that could be. It's not just singular. We're so infinite. Sometimes I know we live in a world where, money and different things are, a big thing. However, just understanding that abundance in everything, and I say everything, I mean excluding nothing that you can, that could happen for you. And the biggest part, and I always like to say this, the biggest part of all this is that you deserve it. You deserve it. So, because unexpected abundance requires a steady internal home. Those moments don't happen by accident. They happen because you were open. We were open because we were coherent, because some deeper intelligence already knew, higher self, God, universe, source, however you want to articulate that. They already knew you were ready for more, even before you could picture it. And when others look at your life and don't understand why things work out for you, that's not something you explain. Let's say that again. When others look at when others look at your life and don't understand why things work out for you, that's nothing. That is something you don't need to explain. You don't owe a justification for receiving well. You deserve an abundant life beyond measure, not because you proved anything, but because you stopped resisting who you already are. That's the kind of leadership that doesn't convince, it confirms. Again, we always got a steady flow of, abundant energy, abundant power always flowing to us. We're the ones that cut ourselves off from it. So why some people resist your growth? This part matters. Some people won't celebrate your evolution, not because they don't love you, but because your growth highlights what they really avoided. You become a mirror, and mirrors. So as we talked about mirrors earlier, as people can reflect your vibration and the different things that, you may be holding and not willing to let go. You do that for other people. And when they see, again, you being a mirror to other people, that makes people uncomfortable. So they may say, you've changed, you're different, you think you're better now. That's just low level. That's just low level picking. That's all it is. Because yes, you're changed. Yes, you're different. But the biggest thing is you don't think that you're better. You're just on your own path. That's all it is. But what you're really saying is what they're really saying when they say those things to you. You remind me of something I haven't chosen yet. That's not your burden to carry. It's not. You cannot control when good things happen to you, how people will react. You can't. You can't at all. So walking forward without abandonment. Here's the balance. You don't disappear. You don't discard people. You don't harden your heart. You stop dragging. You walk forward, and whoever is ready will walk with you. And whoever isn't, they're just not. You love them without lowering yourself. That part. That's maturity. That's leadership without ego. Stop wanting them to change before you enjoy you. Stop waiting and stop wanting for people, situations to change before you enjoy you. Find a way. You may have 100 things going on that's like, oh my God, but there's one thing that you can look and say, okay, wow, that is going right. That is aligned. Focus on that. Once you focus on that, your frequency of vibration changes, your attitude changes, the way that things show up for you start to change. I'm telling you. I'm telling you because I have done it. I've been in a space where I did not even know what was going to go on. Not most recently, because I had a lot of different things happen recently. And then, because one of our friends that asked me, said, "Dad, bro, you went through this situation with your eye. You went through a couple of different things. You lost a job and all these other things." And he was like, "Man, you got such a great attitude about how everything is going for you, man." And he was like, "I know you wanted to stress out." And I was thinking to myself, and I told him, I was like, "Well, you would think, because you always have a choice to, stress out, crash out, have your moment, because it happened. But for me, in this last, 6 to 8 months, 9 months, I didn't have a choice to crash out or get upset, cry. Not saying crying is a bad thing, but I was crying for joy. Because I was always in a state of joy. Like this situation, like, again, I didn't have a choice. The only choice I had was to keep smiling, love myself, and continue just to move, and to move as powerful as I can move given the situation. That was the only choice. The only choice. The only thing. I still had to, have a clear mind, keep moving, and for this situation, not saying I won't go through something at some point where I will have to, express myself and, whatever had that time. But for this past, moments in these last several months, ain't no way. Because I know things are building and things are coming together so well. And I feel it. And that excitement right there is the main thing, the main reason why. Oh no. This is just, I'm going to learn, get things together, figure it out. I know I'm always protected, guided. Everything always works out for me. My life just keeps getting better, better, and better, and better. That's just what I say. And that's what I say in my meditation. Before I actually start my meditation, that's exactly what I say. And then I just meditate and listen to what, or feel whatever's going to come through. So the shift that changes everything, at some point, something subtle changes. You stop trying to make people understand you. You stop explaining your choices. You stop defending your direction, not because you don't care, but because clarity no longer needs a witness. You realize your life doesn't need consensus to be valid. So you move forward gently, quietly, without announcement, not hiding, not providing, just walking. And that's when leadership becomes effortless, because you're no longer carrying anyone's doubt alongside your own. We do enough of doubting, second guessing. We do enough. We don't need to add nobody else's, baggage. I won't say trash, but I don't want to say won't want to add anyone else's baggage to how we move and how we operate. So the path you clear becomes the way. Here's something I want to be very clear about. This isn't about being better than anyone. It's not about outgrowing people. It's not about positioning yourself above where others are. It's about the naturally things that happen when you finally stop abandoning yourself. When you do the work, when you walk forward honestly, when you let yourself be who you actually are. When you stop shrinking, you stop apologizing or waiting for permission, things open up, opportunities align, situations resolve, doors appear that you weren't even looking for, not because you're superior, but because alignment creates movement. That's the byproduct, really, to be honest with you. And the way the way that we're ready to receive that kind of life, and I say we, yes, the way that we are ready to receive that kind of life is through self-love, self-care, and clear boundaries. Because how you treat yourself is how you move through the world. That's what allows you to walk with clarity instead of force, precision instead of urgency, confidence instead of compassion. So when you walk fully as yourself, you don't leave people behind, you create a trail. Some will follow later, some will never follow. Some people will just never get it. And they may not never get it from you. That's the part that you're like, okay. They will never understand you, and they will never they won't receive it from you. Some will take a different path entirely, and that's okay. You were never meant to save everyone. You were meant to live in a way that shows what's possible. It's not ego, it's integrity. And when you choose to live as your highest expression, you don't lose people. You simply stop carrying what was never yours to hold. So just remember that. Love yourself. Continue just to move powerful, move as clear and grounded as you can at the moment. And each stage, continue to grow and expand. So don't forget it. Avenue Talks, if you're trying to connect, 336-464-7881. That's when we can talk about anything, we'll be able to build and connect and, again, put some batteries in your back for whatever you're trying to do. Alchemy Avenue 859 at Gmail, DM on Instagram, Alchemy Avenue, and the Alchemy Avenue at TikTok. Light code prints, remember we got those too. Again, because people keep asking, hey, I see your light codes. Do you do them for, protection, love, peace, grounding, clarity, abundance? Yes, we can co-create something. And this is what it looked like. This is a different one from the other week. Or the other episode. So this one is embodiment. I carry the divine, not just dream it. So this is embodiment. So again, it'd be something like this. You'll get the print with the light codes. You'll also get the print without the light codes, and you'll get a physical copy of each, and then digital copy of each as well. So again, it'll be one of one, yours, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. Shirts, posters, hang it up in your house, hang it up in your room, whatever you want to do with it. Let your mind, do what it needs to do. So, all right. Love yourself so you can love others. Continue just to walk in a path of how you want to walk and how you perceive, the greatness in you, and watch things unfold in amazing ways. So, till next time, Ashe.